let us all do we can to build a better future. That's right. We're going to talk about our friends from Fox News. Shout out to Case Study QB. Be sure to follow them on Twitter. So Fox News is basically saying you shouldn't get a UBI because it will make you happy. And we can't rely on the government because, you know, it'll be a handout and then everyone's going to be a brainwashed individual, even though we are all brainwashed on social media and thanks to corporate media as well. So let's hear what they got to say. FaZe, let's play this first video. And Daniel, I hope you're paying attention to this one.
I'm going to try to. I'm going to look this way.
Hey.
The loony left. Right. So in the 1990s, many Democrats wanted to end welfare as we know it. Now they want to expand welfare and grow it to the point where it actually replaces earning a living. They call it Universal Basic Income, or UBI. It's the government giving people free money on a monthly basis with no strings attached. The first experiment was in Stockton, California, and a study just came out which has been trumpeted across the media saying it worked. Of course, the point of the study was not to find out whether it worked, but to prove that it did, as a basis for UBI to be rolled out, as they say, right across California and then the country, just like the lockdowns. So, of course, Oakland announced its version this week, although if you're white, you're not eligible, obviously, because white people can't be poor since they're all racists or something. Anyway, San Francisco just launched UBI for artists who engage with the community, and the Democrats even slipped a version of UBI into Biden's bailout bill. But here's the interesting thing. It turns out that the pilot program didn't actually work. There is no evidence that universal basic income helps people get jobs or move into sustainable economic security or anything else they claim. It's all just an illusion created by Democrats and their media servants to make themselves look compassionate and generous and to make people dependent on government. Tammy Bruce is back with us to discuss. Tammy, your reaction.
Tammy.
Well, we know it doesn't work. Europe has proven that. They had the same approach, Finland in particular, where this was the goal was if we give you money, they thought, well, somehow that means you'll get a job. And now we know historically that's not what gets you a job. But what they found was it made people happier getting this free money. Now this is very troubling. You think, well, what's the problem in that? Well, this is government positioning itself as the giver of happiness. And of course, we know that's a disaster, but that can also be like a drug. That if, in fact, it's government you need to be happy, you will always then require that assistance, and that it's not finding your own way or being a genuinely free person or being an entrepreneur or finding that job because the economy is good because government has stepped out of the way. So it's very dangerous. And of course, this is we talked about early in the show. The Democrats have no genuine policy proposal.
Wow, those are really strong opinions, such as I disagree and I read opinion piece. And there's no proof because it hurts my ideology if it was true. I mean, I don't know how to counter strong arguments like that, but Kit, what do you think?
Here's my rebuttal to this, and that is there are numerous countries that have been doing continuous UBI, especially during the year of 2020, when every nation was doing a lockdown and quarantine. It was something that helped out those communities, those people in those said countries. But yet here in the United States, we got a one-time $1,200 check, one-time $600 check, and a one-time $1,400 check. That's it, in a separate time frame as well. Other countries have been doing it. Canada has been having a continuous UBI. Now, are the people there just stuck on euphoria?
They don't call it a UBI, so technically you're wrong on this technicality.
Right.
That makes the difference.
But see, that's the problem. See, and that's the problem. See, right now we are dealing with a crisis, especially here in the United States, something that we've never seen before, where our entire economic system has been effectively shut down for a very long time. There's a lot of small business owners, whether they have a restaurant, whether it's a barbershop or anything of that matter, people have lost their businesses. People are at risk of being evicted from their homes and apartments, and that continuous UBI could have helped out. Unemployment right now is still struggling to get out unemployment checks to working class citizens. It's quite clear there has to be a massive overhaul. UBI isn't something that's supposed to be attached to someone for forever. I mean, yeah, it's great to have that extra boost, but when you covered about how the Canadians were using a universal basic income, they were happy because they weren't stressed out at the risk of being evicted or the lights being turned off or the gas being turned off. That's something that can make people happy. Like, oh my goodness, I'm not going to freeze or starve. I'm not going to be kicked out on the streets. So the thing is, the reason why people are happy is because they're not at risk of suffering the elements. They're not at risk of not knowing what tomorrow will have in store for them. And so here in the United States, people have that risk. And for those who've gotten their $1,400 stimulus check, let's do some democracy here. Type 1 if you still have some of that stimulus, that $1,400 stimulus check. Type 2 if you don't, because this is a conversation that we need to have about the fact that we do need a continuous UBI. And so for some reason, I guess those Fox News analysis are assuming that, oh, the American people are just going to pocket it and save it. How?
No, they don't.
When everyone's in debt.
They didn't even want that to happen. They were really worried that people were going to be saving their money.
Yeah.
So again, this is just like, this is as clear a opinion piece propaganda based on I have an ideology that I sort of hold up to some of the time, and this thing goes against it. The entire idea that Fox News pushes themselves on, even though they do the opposite much of the time anyway, is government is by definition bad and useless and not as good as the private sector at doing things. So if a report comes out that says, no, government's actually decent at doing some things, not all things, but some things. Something I would say that it's, if the profit motive diminishes the service is when you can start asking that question. Mm-hmm. Or when privatizing it makes the service less reliable, less reaching. So, for example, only the USPS delivers to very rural areas. A lot of those people, generally speaking, Republican, want to vote out the post office and then wonder where their mail goes. Mm-hmm. So it's a situation that Fox... They're taking something that works. Turns out when you redistribute money, remember Reaganomics? Remember that entire thing that's a trickle-down theory? You send money to the wealthy through corporate socialism. Yes, it's a thing that happens all the time. It's where a huge amount of our government taxes goes, whether it's the war budget, a huge amount goes to contractors, private companies, just everything, private. So we already have corporate socialism, the thing that we're supposed to hate, except it's for companies, so it's okay. But when it works and people are getting their money and they're happier, maybe they're unable to find jobs because there aren't jobs available because so much of the economy is shut down. That could be a reason. Maybe it's not helping them get housing because if I remember correctly, it was a $500 a month UBI, which is, I would say, maybe perhaps a little small, but it was just there to test to see if it worked. And it worked. And Fox News' response is, but I read an opinion piece and my opinion says it didn't, so it didn't, even though it did. They're fighting statistical analysis with their feelings. And I don't know. I don't always agree with Fox News. I don't agree with all the mainstream media. But what I always disagree with is truthiness.
Yeah. And one other thing here, too, because I'm seeing in the live stream chat, there's a couple of people saying that either one, they still save some of their stimulus check. Others are saying that they haven't, that they've already spent it. Shout out to Kira. I paid back the savings I dipped into, so I guess it's gone. Shout out to Kira. Hope you're doing well, Kira. And then Riff McLavin says, I managed to save $400 of it. Well, congratulations. And there's still people saying, I haven't even gotten my stimulus check. So at the end of the day, this is a major problem with corporate media and how the fact they're not even acknowledging the bigger picture. Yeah. And that is, if we were to get continuous UBI, most of that UBI is going to be spent on getting rid of the debtors or the credit callers.
It's literally immediately, it's literally just corporate socialism with extra steps at this point. Yeah. Most people are spending their money on things that go to people that are already rich.
And so what can be done to help out the American people? Controversial statement, but maybe student debt forgiveness and medical debt forgiveness. Because one of the leading causes of homelessness in this country is the fact of our corrupt medical system that we have here, to where, again, one bad day, someone's at risk of losing everything. And no one, I don't care what your political ideology is, the color of your skin, or who you worship, no one should be kicked out on the streets. It's already rough enough as it is right now. And if those two things, medical debt and student debt, were forgiven, well, then maybe people can pocket that stimulus check to, I don't know, in a hypothetical scenario, maybe invest it into a business that they are creating so they can generate more income. Or either that, contribute to their community, something, whatever they want to do with it. But unfortunately, we don't have that scenario because we have corrupt politicians and a corporate media that's not acknowledging the fact that the majority of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, and they're lucky enough even if they get a paycheck or an unemployment check at this point. 2020 and especially COVID-19 has shown just how weak this economic system we have, and why everyone needs to step up and get involved and call for a general strike or do something else, because what we have right now isn't working for us.
And then on top of all this, the economy still hasn't fully cratered. We have been talking on the network for a very long time, ever since we started, that there's going to be this major collapse at some point. And if we don't have these systems set up, what we're going through now will seem like a nice period.
Yeah.
And it still hasn't happened. We keep, again, because corporate socialism is a big thing, we keep just printing billions of dollars every single hour by the central bank, not the central bank. What am I looking for? Is the word the Fed?
Yeah, the Federal
Fed
Reserve,
keeps printing out money. There's going to be a reckoning.
Right.
It might be this year, likely will be. It might be next, but it's not even hit a bottoming point. So
exactly. So I think we have one more video to play, or yeah, let's play that, and then we'll give our final comments.
That help people's lives. What they resort to is a juvenile approach of, if I give you money, this will help you. This will make you happy. It will get you what you need. It's completely divorced from a free society and what we require in that regard. And yet they do it anyway, because they're not necessarily mistaken. They do want to be the resource for everything you need in life. They don't want you to think that happiness comes from your freedom or from your ability to make your own living. And this is what is dangerous about this, and I think it's intentional.
Exactly. So well put. You really nailed it there.
No,
and that word juvenile is so interesting.
We know the video is going to repeat itself. So again, they're just going to be patting each other on the back and saying, well, it's not going to help out anyone. Tell it to someone right now that's being,
I love how
that will be evicted from their home.
You have the freedom to have to work.
The freedom to work. Hey, everyone, look, whether you're libertarian or conservative, Democrat, socialist, here's the one thing that we all have in common, especially here in the United States. You want to know what everyone's biggest regret when they're on their deathbed or when they know they're going to die?
Why did I pay a cable bill?
No, it's, oh, I wish I didn't work so hard. Oh, I wish I wasn't at my job 24/7. I wish I spent more time with my family. I wish I did this. I wish I did that. And see, the thing is, that's what happens when you're stuck in a system that's telling you got to work all day long. It's not going to work. Here's the thing. It's not even functioning
anymore. Fox News, why are you against people's freedom to take things from stores without paying? That's by your definition freedom.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, that's a huge issue, and that gets brought up in that exact context. But the freedom to be supported by the government that you're a part of as a citizen, terrible.
Hold on. I'm going to give the final word to this person in the live stream chat. Aaron D., what free society? We are slaves to our corporate masters. There we go. And
but
then,
that sounds like freedom.
And then Where Pilgrim says, Where Pilgrim? Oh boy, debt equals freedom, I guess. Yep, yeah. You're free to work for the rest of your life.
Right, you're free to be in debt. You're free to work at the and pay and buy and live in the company store.
Yep,
amazing freedom.
Here's the thing too, and this is something that really should upset a lot of people. Other countries don't have this problem. I understand the idea of building something and putting all your effort into building whatever business you want to create. That's what we did here with this studio. But I think we are the only country right now, a developed country, that doesn't have social safety nets for its people. Other countries do. And the thing is, they're not having this kind of problem that we're having. Now, are other countries perfect? No, there's no such thing as perfect. But why is it that we don't have money for Medicare for all, money for all these other social programs that other developed countries have? We are the only ones that don't. And the very fact that we as Americans have been silently obedient to this and quiet about this really says a lot about us. We cannot take this anymore. This is an unfair society in which we are supposed to work every single day until our hands fall off. Does that sound like democracy? Because it doesn't.
Hey, you have the freedom to do that or go to jail or die.
Yeah.